If you are thinking about debt relief, debt settlements, debt consolidation, you might want to think about Pacific Debt Relief. So this is an important player in this field, especially when it comes to debt relief. So in today's conversation, I want to do a deep dive into this company to understand the pros and cons, the value added, and how you can benefit from its services. So here is a summary I want you to pay attention to. So when we think about Pacific Debt Relief, we're thinking about a company that is based in San Diego, and they actually have been in operation since 2002. So it's been 20 years now. And they are available in 36 states and the District of Columbia. So this is kind of cool. We love the fact that Pacific Debt in all those 20 years has actually garnered a lot of rave reviews from consumers online and offline. And so if you need debt relief services, but you do qualify or you don't live where Pacific Debt Relief operates, you will receive a referral to a reputable program that better suits your need. That's what really fantastic. But one thing I want to say here is that Pacific Debt Relief is legit, because we always get questions about viewers about whether or not a credit repair company, a debt relief company, a debt consolidation company, a debt settlement company, so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, is legit. Yes, Pacific Debt Relief is legit. They've been in operation for the last 20 years, so they must be doing something great, okay? And Pacific Debt Relief is great for people who have at least $10,000 in unsecured debts and are struggling to repay them. People who want to work with a debt specialist to reduce outstanding debts. And people who are more concerned about getting rid of debt than improving their credit score. So when you think about Pacific Debt, what kind of credit score do you really need? Now, there is no minimum credit score that is required to enroll with Pacific Debt Relief, okay? And you need to understand, once you go through the program, your FICO score will be affected on the downside, right? So basically, things will go down. So you can usually expect your credit score to drop, but it will come back up after 6 to 18 months. So those are things you need to be aware of. And so when we talk about the online features that you can see on Pacific Debt Relief's website, you can apply for the debt settlement program. You can determine the interest you will pay if you only make minimum payments on your debt. You can access educational resources on topics such as bankruptcy, budgeting, credit scores, and credit cards, and debt relief. You can request a free consultation, and you can watch video testimonials from clients. I want to quickly go through the pros and cons here. So when we talk about Pacific Debt Relief, what are we talking about? Well, let's first start with the pros. Here is an institution that charges no upfront fee. And we have seen a lot of high customer satisfaction scores about Pacific Debt Relief, and they do offer a free consultation to show you how much you could save potentially. So there are no upfront fees required to start your plan, and you may be able to settle debts for less than you owe and become debt free in 24 to 48 months. Okay, so depending on your ability to save and how much debt you have, you may be able to take let's say 2 to 4 years. And so this is kind of cool. And we love the fact that you have an assigned account manager. So after you get approved, you will get a personal account manager to answer your questions and assist you in the settlement process. And the payments are based on your budget. So again, this is kind of cool because Pacific Debt Relief wants to tailor your payment to your budget. And so this is kind of cool. So when we talk about the debt, again, in today's conversation, the topic I'm actually addressing now is Pacific Debt Relief Review, and I'm actually going as granular as possible. And so I spoke to you about the pros. Now let's quickly talk about the cons. Basically, this program requires $10,000 in unsecured debts, and the company operates in only 36 states. So if you happen not to be in the geography that they cover, this could be a problem. They do charge you a fee in some cases of up to 25%. Okay, and there is no client portal or mobile app. One thing I also want to say here is that you have to make sure that you are aware of the potential credit damage. Okay, while it's less harmful than filing for bankruptcy, settling your debts can lead to a significant drop in your credit score, and there is no guarantee of settlements. So creditors may refuse to work with you because they're not legally obligated to work with settlement companies, and creditors could also file lawsuits against you if you stop making payments. Okay, so there is always a risk there. But in terms of the states where Pacific Debts operates, I want to say that they are in Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, Vermont, Washington, well, Washington State, of course, West Virginia, or Wyoming. I mean, I'm sure I've forgotten a few of them. But hey, if you have other questions on this topic, let me know. We will certainly answer you. I want to quickly talk to you about the value added. So when you think about Pacific Debt, what kind of value do they add? So the thing here is that Pacific Debt actually helps consumers out of debt using debt settlements, a process that comes with a certain amount of risk anyway, right? So with debt settlements, you are asked as a client, you are asked to stop making payments on your bills, even if they are 30, 60, or 90 days behind. Instead, debt settlements participants are asked to begin saving money in a separate account, which the debt settlement company will use to help settle their debts for less than they owe. So this is kind of the thing. Now, according to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, some of the core risks of debt settlements include the potential negative impact on your credit score, as well as the fact that creditors are not required to settle. They're not required to settle, okay? However, debt settlements seems to work rather well in practice, and Pacific Debt has many satisfied customers, according to user reviews. And so it is really what it is. And so whilst debt settlement is not perfect in practice, Pacific Debt has used this strategy to help its clients pay off over $300 million in unsecured debts, and most of its customers become debt-free in 24 to 48 months, okay? And when we talk about the type of debt that is addressed, we're speaking about credit card debt, medical bills, personal loans, and payday loans. So this is kind of cool, and everything must be unsecured though, okay? And so in terms of the client onboarding, things are pretty straightforward also. So all you have to do is that you have to go to the website and you get started with a free consultation. You enter your information, your phone, your first name, last name, your zip, your address, whatever, and you can have a conversation. So you send the info to Pacific Debt. They will have somebody call you, and during the call, you can speak to the agent. You can discuss your unique situation at greater length in all granularity. So this granularity will help the agent sort of map out the plan for you, and that's it. So the agent will also let you know if you can qualify for Pacific Debt's program, or if other debt resolution options might be better for you. So here's a number: 877-722-3328, 877-722-3328, or 1-800-909-9893, 800-909-9893. I want to quickly give you the approach that you need to think about if you are thinking about actually working with Pacific Debt. It's really important to understand that Pacific Debt will actually take care of you in terms of the debts, but those debts must be unsecured, right? So we're speaking about credit card debts, personal loan debts, medical bills, collections and repossessions, payday loans, business debts, and some student loans, depending on the state where you're at and depending on the lender for certain loans, of course. So it's really important to have that in mind, because sometimes you might be like, wow, how come they denied me? Well, there is a minimum debt amount required. It's $10,000. If you don't have that minimum, they're not going to work with you. It is what it is. Don't try to fight it, okay? And so the time frame for resolution, or for successful resolution, 24 to 48 months. So this is kind of interesting, because if you want to go back to today's conversation, to this topic, I'm talking to you about Pacific Debt Review, and this is a Pacific Debt Relief Review. This is an in-depth review of the company, and it's really important to understand that you want to, before you contact Pacific Debt, make sure you have done your homework. Make sure that you have actually gathered all your debts, that you have a clear idea about the type of debts and the amount of each debt. And please, as I said before, I give you a number before. Now I want to give you a number again, the same number. 877-722-3328. 877-722-3328, Monday through Thursday. They're available 6 a.m. Pacific to 6 p.m. Pacific. On Friday, they're available from 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And on Saturday, from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific, okay? It's really important to understand that there is also an online chat feature and dedicated email for existing customers. And so the number I gave you before is for existing customers. If you are a prospective client, you can call 833-865-2028 during the hours of operation, and you can submit a question through the online chat feature or the inquiry email address to contact the company. You can also sign up for a free consultation with a certified debt specialist to get a savings and debt reduction estimate before signing up, okay? The number again, if you're not a customer, 833-865-2028. Let me give you a few steps here. So here are the steps I want you to take if you are interested in working with Pacific Debt. Because how does the whole debt relief program work step by step? The thing is that you will start by either applying for the Pacific Debt Relief Program online or asking or calling a number for a free consultation. That number is 877-959-6945. And what will happen here is that Pacific Debt Relief will use a soft credit pool to develop a clearer picture of your financial situation, including types of debt and how much you owe. So if you enroll in the program, you will stop paying specific creditors and stop making monthly deposits to a special purpose savings account in your name. And Pacific Debt Relief will begin negotiating with creditors, and when you have enough money in your account and a creditor agrees to a settlement, you will pay off that bill. And this process can take 24 to 48 months. What will happen here is that your credit score will likely drop as you stop paying bills, and your forgiven debts could lead to Uncle Sam, to you owing Uncle Sam. So you always want to speak to a tax professional before you proceed with the settlement program, because a settlement program can be considered as extra income. And so what are the fees that we are speaking about here? So Pacific Debt Relief does not charge upfront fees, and service fees range from 15% to 25% based on the amount of your debt and your state. And fees are rolled into your monthly payment and kicked in only when you start to see results, okay? And you'll need to have at least $10,000 in unsecured debts to work with Pacific Debt Relief. And the company cannot help with debts from lawsuits or judgments, and IRS debts, auto and government loans, and mortgages or other secured debts. So this is what it is. So just think about that, okay? So if you want to qualify, make sure you have at least $10,000 and that you are in one of the 36 states that I spoke about. And it doesn't matter if you have poor credit or low credit, whatever, it doesn't matter. Pacific Debt Relief is doing they're doing a soft pull just to have a clear idea about your profile, not because they're trying to like qualify you for a loan or whatever. No. But just remember that you will work one-on-one with a program debt advisor in a free consultation to determine your eligibility, and you also work with like somebody in a similar role if you get enrolled in the program. So it is what it is. I want to say that overall, when we think about Pacific Debt, the company is great when it comes to debt settlements, but there are other players out there. I mean, you have Accredited Debt Relief. And so I want to do a quick compare and contrast here. So when we talk about Accredited Debt Relief, the debt settlement fee is 15 to 25%, and the minimum debt settle is not disclosed. Then you have the Freedom Debt Relief. The debt settlement fees goes from 15% to 25%, and the minimum debt settled is $7,500. And then you have the National Debt Relief. Here you have the same settlement fee, so 15 to 25%. And the minimum debt settled is $7,500. Now let's quickly talk about let's do Pacific Debt versus National Debt Relief. So Pacific Debt actually started about 20 years ago, whereas National Debt Relief actually started about 15 years ago. And so they both do debt settlements. They both are accredited with the AFCNC. So this is kind of cool. And so that's the American Fair Credit Council. This is kind of good. And so in terms of the fee, so for Pacific Debt, you have no upfront fee, and you are paying between 15 to 25% of your debts. And for National Debt Relief, you're paying a flat 25% rate fee, okay? And the average program time for both players, for both lenders, for both credit specialists, is 24 to 48 months. One thing I want to say here is that overall, before you choose a credit settlement or a debt settlement program, make sure that you have thought about all the decisions in and out, especially your FICO score. Because if your lenders see that let's say that you have settled debts in the past, this could preclude you from getting other loans in the future. So be very careful about that. So you want to choose very carefully whether or not it's a go for you. I mean, based on your situation, based on whatever. So you have to be comfortable with the decision because that decision has consequences. So what is our verdict here? Is Pacific Debt Relief worth it? In our modest opinion, yes. This company is definitely worth it, and but you just have to make sure that the Pacific Debt has the kind of services that you need, has the kind of program that you need. Okay, if you have less than $10,000, you are just going to lose. You're just going to waste their time, and they're going to waste your time because it's not just interesting from them. Okay, they want to help you out, but you have to have at least $10,000. And you also want to actually, be curious in terms of technology. You want to be curious. You want to be innovative in the office. You want to take opportunities. You want to do things, but it's important to make sure that you have the right amount and that you talk to the right counselor. Okay. So again, make sure that you have everything ready. And so what will happen here is that, if you have $10,000 in debt, you can actually start working with Pacific Debts, and they give you about 24 to 48 months for you to see actually some results, and they can actually save you up to 60% in terms of your debt. They can settle your debt, but make sure that, hey, listen, you might lose like a 50 to 100 points. So if you started, let's say, at 625 or 600, you might actually end up in 525 without doing anything, because if you're settling your debt, this is actually seen very negatively by all the other lenders. Okay, but if you want to contact Pacific Debt Relief, just I'm going to give you once again the numbers. So if you are an existing client, you want to call 1-877-722-3328. You want to talk to them between 6 a.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. Friday it goes from 6 a.m. through 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And on Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And again, it's Pacific. There is also an online chat feature and a dedicated email for existing customers. So those are things you want to be really careful about. And one thing I also want to say here is that you want to pay attention to a few other things. And for me, it's really important to pay attention to those things that I'm seeing right now. So one thing you want to make sure here is that you want to contact your advisor. You want to explain all the situation to that person. You want to make sure that they are all on this, like he or she understand your situation, so that when it comes time to actually giving you the plan, the debt settlement plan, you are good to go. But overall, Pacific Debt Relief is a great company. It's a legit company. They've been in business for 20 years, 20 plus years, and we definitely recommend them to you. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I was quickly doing a recap. And I was just talking about Pacific Debt Relief. And it was a review. I gave you a summary, the pros and cons, the value added, the approach, the steps you need to follow, the rivals, and the verdict. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.